All right, thanks for returning to Anthracite Horror Stories, and I'm gonna just dub this audio over the photos itself, just so you don't have to read text, so you can just enjoy the photos. This was previously an abandoned coal mine gangway, and they widened it after the American Civil War. Please see the link in the description for my exploration video here on YouTube of this train tunnel. This is just my photos that I'm compiling into a video. Here you can see all the acid mine drainage coming out of the old abandoned coal mine workings that are still in this train tunnel. That's why it's orange, and you can see the previous high water mark of the acid mine drainage on the side wall. Over your head you can see where they reinforce the old school mine workings. There's some track up in the roof that they put for extra support. They would put archways made of brick, that's what that arrow is pointing to reinforce where coal and shale would be. They didn't want collapse to occur, obviously, because it would be a calamity. Again, there's all that acid mine drainage. Here's the overhead archway of brick, and at the base it has heavy rock as a foundation. They laid all those beautiful pieces of rock there. That acid mine drainage is something else. It has the feel of an abandoned anthracite mine more than a train tunnel. Such a cool exploration, such an oddity. Here, same angle as the previous shot. You can see some boards on the side, I guess for workers to walk on and not get as wet back in the day on the left hand side. Look at that photo. Look at all that rock. That was all blasted and drilled by hand. A lot of workers got killed. Several dozen got killed making this train tunnel. Again, it was originally a mine gangway, and they widened it to be a train tunnel. And here is a frog who jumped in acid mine drainage right in front of me. His eyeballs are bugging out in that photo. Poor thing. I guess it will be fine, I don't know. That looks like an abandoned mine more than an abandoned railroad. But it is an abandoned railroad. Gorgeous. Same angle, just different lighting to accentuate the acid mine drainage. Acid mine drainage is pretty nasty. It will eventually rot those rails out completely, given enough time. Same angle, just a different color filter for the camera. Shows the rock strata a little bit better, I think. Basically a hard rock mine tunnel in a sense. Now here is the second junction of old mine tunnels. They were worried about collapse because it's a different type of strata, being coal and also shale. So again, you can see the reinforced hand placed rock on the base with a cylindrical archway overhead, and there's a heavy duty 3-piece timber set overhead, and they just want to reinforce that thing immensely so it doesn't collapse. And look at that, post abandonment, and still holding strong. You can actually see sulfur in that archway. Sulfur somehow infiltrating through that rock strata from where the old coal seam used to be. That is definitely sulfur. That's a cool photo. Beautiful colors down here, just immaculate colors. It varies from one end till the other. This was more dry, believe it or not, on this side. That's what it would look like when you were down there with your flashlight. It wasn't as bright as the photos make it out to be. This is what it would look like. It's pretty dark. Huge. Just a huge tunnel. Had my friend look back at the camera to simulate what a train would look like passing through here back in the day. These trains would have went flying through here with passengers, anthracite coal, freight, you name it. That's an awesome shot. Again, there's acid mine drainage on the inside of the rail itself. And off to the side, there's like water troughs full of acid mine drainage. Arrows are, the bottom arrows pointing to an abandoned anthracite gangway. And overhead, that top arrow is pointing to the vaulted, arched brick. You can see the condition of that rail. Now, this mine section here was just horribly collapsed after the first working. So like 50 feet in, there's a colossal collapse. And I really can't recall seeing timbers placed that close together. So they knew that rock strata in that mine was terrible. Look at that, just a wall of timbers. A lot of overhead timbering there. Everything was crazy. So they knew that roof was prone to collapse. Coal vein was at a steep pitch, that's why. So the arrows are pointing to the overhead vaulted brick again. And on the center portion of that brick, you can see the old steam exhaust, the coal soot. Look at all that acid mine drainage. Very impressive. What a mess. Unfortunately, that will flow like that for many thousands of years. I've read that it can flow for hundreds of thousands of years. There's just another look in that same mine gangway. And it goes to collapse, like I said, after the first working, but I did not want to chance it and go beyond that. Looked like you could get through, but you risked more collapse. There's a little bit of ceiling collapse in the foreground of that photo. Beautiful photo, if I might say. Just use a little Canon power shot for this. Another lovely photo. I only used a $200 camera for most of my explores. My friend used a $2,000 camera used, and my other buddy had a $3,000 new camera. I just didn't want to invest in that and have it break underground. The rail ties here look really cool with the acid mine drainage. It's a cool photo. Off to the right-hand side, at a higher elevation, you can see the acid mine drainage trickling down that wall. You can see some sulfur, it almost looks like, on the track itself in the foreground. Off to the right-hand side in the foreground, you can see a massive timber. They were trying to prop up that rock for some odd reason. Look at that carving of the rock. Immaculate. Now here's another mine gangway. So the left hand and right hand side, there would be a tunnel cutting through what is now the train tunnel. And there's a vaulted arch of brick there again. So on the left hand side was an old mine gangway. They did an intricate design there when they placed those rocks, holding steady 150 plus years later. Here is an entrance to the right hand side of that prior photo. You can see that gorgeous heavy rock that they placed. And they wanted water to flow out so it didn't build up pressure and explode out. Fortunately, I didn't get a good photo of this, but traveling down the tunnel, there's another mine entrance, and there's like shaft cage gate that's rotting away, and immediately it goes to a coal collapse. That's actual anthracite coal there. That is a beautiful roof support made of heavy duty timbers. It's like they built a roof for the tunnel itself because they were worried about the rock strata. And that section's holding very steady. You can see the rail just somewhat coming out of the acid mine drainage itself there. Gorgeous condition. Most likely white oak to resist rot. Another angle. Again, you can see that rail just slightly above the water in the background. In the foreground, it's submerged. Just a different type of photo filter for the coloring down there at the same angle as the prior photo. You can see how dry that roof is still. Almost looks like it was placed there yesterday. Not all sections were as good as this section, as you'll see later on when they put these roofs in a sense. It's like something you'd see out west in tunnels. Very steep, old school mine workings, and that's a 3-piece timber set. I didn't even want to try to get up there because it was vertical and it was about 15 feet. And then if you got up there, it shot up at a very steep pitch, so I didn't bother. Rail is still intact here with the ties intact, as you can see, and again you can just see the beautiful condition of that tunnel. Immaculate. Gorgeous. Different filter used to show the acid mine drainage off to the right hand side. Very thick and sludge-like. This I didn't even use a filter for the photo. This is actually how it looked if you were down there just shining your flashlight. It's something else. That's acid mine drainage just built up on the walls. Here is another roof system where they put timbering, and they put bricks in an arch fashion just to make sure that it was sealed properly. Here's a small roof section that's collapsing and rotting from the acid mine drainage. It's eating away at the wood, but it's still pretty structurally sound in that portion of the tunnel yet. The arrow is pointing to the locomotive soot from the steam era, and most likely the diesel era also. Thick acid mine drainage here. Very sloppy. Very loud when you're walking through it, the sloshing noise. More acid mine drainage. Tunnel is in still very good shape at this point. Probably about the halfway mark distance-wise in this tunnel. It's about a mile long, this tunnel, by the way. And here in the background, you can see the rail ends. Scrappers took it out. I don't know who or when, but there was no more rail. As you can see in this photo, no more rail, and it's flooded. And in the background, there's collapse. So the strata is getting more chaotic. The rock strata, that is, it's getting more chaotic at this point. There's a lot more collapse. Again, the arrow is pointing to locomotive soot on the roof of the tunnel. It's just so cool to see. Very neat. Something that's very tangible to visualize. It's there, you know, the old soot. Here's an awesome roofed section of the tunnel. I don't know what you call it, just like a timber support roof to prevent rocks from coming down and crushing the locomotive or causing a derailment. Here's right under that roof, and you can see the ties minus the rail. No rail. There's a rock in the foreground that has come down. And you can see that some of the boards are completely rotting through. So given time, it will rot out and eventually start to collapse. the overhead rock. Just trying to show the scale in this photo. It's an impressive scale down there. Very impressive. No rail, just ties. Spikes are still there though, which is interesting. Rail spikes still just hanging out. Another timbered roof section of the tunnel, and in the background there's a really bad collapse. Really nasty collapse. It's about 10 feet high. It's like a red shale, but there's also like a conglomerate rock, it almost appeared to be. It's strange because it was like a hard rock, but at the same time it was like a shale. There's a lot of conflicting types of rock down there. You can see timbers in that collapse from the overhead roof, and this is flooded. That collapse is holding back all this water. And the water started to become very treacherous because there's so much debris that is hidden in the water itself. A moldy overhead timber, and that mold will eventually eat away that timber and cause it to collapse downward. Just a different type of photo filter that I used. And again, that looks like a hard rock mine out in the American West. Doesn't even look like something here in Pennsylvania. No photo filter used in this shot. Same angle. I'm taking this photo on top of a collapse that's dry. There's about 3 feet of water in the background. Now I'm in the water looking up at this other section of timbered roof. In the very back, you could see a complete roof to floor collapse. It's 100% plugged. I don't even know if oxygen's getting through, to be honest. But it's completely damming back all that water. Here in the foreground, you can see another timber set trying to hold back some rock, and it's extremely wet. You can see the drippage there from all the water trickling down. In the background, you can see that collapse. Collapse is real bad. Now we turned around at this point, we're heading back. So this is just going back towards the way we came in. And you can see the lovely brickwork protecting the tunnel from the old school mine workings. And they did a great job because look at that, there's not even a pebble that has fallen. There's not even a brick that has fallen, it looks like. So to the left and right would be where an old coal mine tunnel intersected where this train tunnel is. Just another angle. Gorgeous rail. Look at that rail. Man. Doesn't get any more beautiful than that. So hopefully you liked this video. Let me know what you thought of it. I'm going to do this with my coal mine exploration photos, turn them into video, and I'll narrate over the photos so you don't have to read and you can enjoy the photos. And again, this is just another angle showing the old mine gangway that was there before it was a train tunnel. It's completely sealed off. There is black damp getting into the train tunnel itself. The oxygen rate should be about 20.8. I think it was like 20.4, 20.3, maybe even 20.2. Nothing to be alarmed about, but black damp is seeping out from the second intersection of coal mine tunnels, I believe it was, and diluting the train tunnel itself with good oxygen. And this is back at the entrance. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I appreciate all my subscribers. If you aren't already subscribed, I kindly ask that you smash that subscribe button and also hit the like button. Please consult the description of the video for the link to the video exploration of this train tunnel. It was all done in one day, all the photos and video.